Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 305 for July 18th, 2023. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the Arena Football League unveiled the locations for their 16 teams in 2024. It was finally announced that the New York Jets will be featured on HBO's Hard Knocks this season, and we give our review of the Netflix documentary, Quarterback. But I'm not here all by myself. Along with me this week, as always, is my son, Adam.
This week is always. That's right. I'm here, and happy 15th anniversary to the greatest film of all time that came out on this day in 2008. Do you know what film that is?
Batman Returns, or...
Oh my God. That was...
one of your Batman movies.
Oh my God. It was Mamma Mia. But I'm just kidding. That did come out the same day as the greatest film of all time, The Dark Knight. My favorite film of all time, the greatest comic book film of all time, and just the greatest Christopher Nolan film ever. Yeah, it's the best film of all time. Fight me. I'll do it.
30 seconds in and we're off the rails already. Yeah. Way to go, son.
Talking about Batman. I got to get it out there. The Dark Knight is so great. How many times did I see it in theaters, you ask? A lot. 7 times in theaters. 3 times opening day back in 2008. That's right. Enough about me.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel, which is YouTube/@theworldoffootball, as well as other selected videos like our history lesson from last week, which was answering the question, why is Jim Thorpe buried in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania? Which is now exclusively on YouTube, our history lessons. So go over there and check that out. And let's see, that's about it. So let's begin this week's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to kick off the scoreboard with the CFL. It was week 6 in the Great Canadian Football League. Thursday night saw the Hamilton Tiger Cats take out the Edmonton Elks 37-29. Edmonton dropping its 20th straight home loss going back to 2019. Oof.
They were in this game, too, for quite a while.
They've been in almost every game.
They've been playing well.
Find new ways to lose. They're the Lions of the CFL, and not the good Lions that we'll talk about later. Hamilton quarterback Matt Schiltz completed 10 passes for 184 yards before being injured in the third quarter. He was then replaced by Taylor Powell, who completed 2 passes, that's right, 2, for 47 yards and a touchdown on his first pass in the Canadian Football League. How about that?
Yeah.
Running back James Butler carried the ball 14 times for 127 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Tim White caught 2 passes for 71 yards and a touchdown. Hamilton defensive back Stavros Katsanastos. Was I close?
Stavros, you got that right.
Katsantonis.
Katsantonis.
Okay, Stavros Katsantonis intercepted a pass and returned it 33. I'm so sorry, my man. But you returned a pass and intercepted a pass, returning it 33 yards for a touchdown in the third quarter. Man, words are hard. For Edmonton, quarterback Taylor Cornelius completed 11 passes for 171 yards and a touchdown. He was then replaced by Jarrett Daggy, who completed 14... Daggy, who completed 14 passes for 201 yards and a touchdown. Edmonton's running back Kevin Brown carried the ball 11 times for 77 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Kyron Moore caught 4 passes for 101 yards and a touchdown, and while wide receiver Stephen Dunbar Jr. caught 5 additional passes for 72 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, you thought you were having problems with
Yeah, good luck.
Katsantonis. You got another one coming up that's going to be even worse.
It's like cats and toes. Katsantonis.
Katsantonis.
There we go. Wow, I'll probably remember that now. Katsantonis. Anyway, moving on. Friday night saw the defending and unbeaten Toronto Argonauts continue their winning ways by defeating the Montreal Alouettes in a great game. 35-27 is the final. The Argos as I mentioned, remain undefeated thanks to quarterback Chad Kelly, who completed 21 passes for 351 yards and 3 touchdowns. What a game this guy had.
3 of
He
them.
looked incredible.
Yep.
He also ran for a 4th touchdown. So, yeah, he was doing everything.
Yep.
Running back A.J. Olette carried the ball 14 times for 95 yards, while wide receiver David Ungerer the third. What a great name. That sounds like a superhero secret identity. David Unger the third caught 4 passes for 74 yards and 2 touchdown passes. And wide receiver Devontae Coxey also caught 4 passes for 74 yards and a touchdown. For Montreal, quarterback Cody Fajardo completed 26 passes for 281 yards and 3 touchdowns, while wide receiver Tyler Snead caught 3 passes for 48 yards and 3 touchdowns. What a game. You thought this was the best highlight package of the week.
Yeah, this was a great game. A lot of interceptions, fumbles, tip passes. Oh my gosh, this game had everything. So yeah, check out those highlights. Toronto over Montreal.
Yeah, some great stuff. Came down to the end, some great catches. Man, just very exciting game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Argos finding a way to win.
Yep.
I mean,
To
stay undefeated, unbelievable. But I don't know. This next one might be even more impressive as the Ottawa Red Blacks defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in overtime, 31-28. What a way that game ended too. The Red Blacks came from behind to tie the game at 25 apiece at the end of regulation to force the overtime. In that overtime, Winnipeg kicked a field goal, and then on Ottawa's possession next, quarterback Dustin Crum scrambled 12 yards to the end zone for the victory. Crum, who was making his first CFL start, completed 26 passes for 261 yards, but no touchdowns. He also ran the ball 9 times for 103 yards and added 2 touchdowns on the ground. For Winnipeg, quarterback Zach Caleros completed 22 passes for 369 yards and 2 touchdowns, while quarterback Matt Schiltz, who was injured in a game last week, has been put on the 6-game injured list.
Yeah, you remember Schultz got hurt last week, and that's when Crum came in and almost won the game last week. He got stopped on the 2-yard line as time expired. Well, this week he didn't get stopped on the 2-yard line. He made it into the end zone and won the game in overtime.
Yeah, I've been loving seeing all of the tags for all the photos and stuff saying, all Ottawa needed was a crumb of a chance or stuff like that. All the crumb puns have been divvied out for this. And good for him. He's looking
played
great.
Well
is he the new the quarterback that we were loving from Rourke from the British
Nathan Rourke?
Nathan Rourke. Is he the new Nathan Rourke? Is he our new poster boy for up and coming QBs?
Could be.
Oh, it's been fun. Mm-hmm. All right, and then on Saturday, the Calgary Stampeders defeated the Saskatchewan Roughriders 33-31 in a close game. So what a great weekend of close football in the CFL. You're missing out if you haven't checked this out.
This was another great game.
Calgary kicker Rene Paredes kicked a game-winning 50-yard field goal as time expired for the victory for those Stampeders. Calgary quarterback Jake Mayer completed 26 passes for 315 yards and 2 touchdowns, while wide receiver Luther Hakuanavadu, boy, oh boy, another tough name. This is where we should have show prepped.
Hakuna Vanu is how I'm pronouncing it.
Hakuna Matata to you too.
Yeah, Hakuna Vanu.
Hakuna Vanu. So many great, crazy names that I can't say. Caught 5 passes for 94 yards and a touchdown. For Saskatchewan, quarterback Trevor Harris was injured in the 4th quarter, but completed 16 passes for 115 yards and no touchdowns. He is now out indefinitely with a fractured knee. You hate to see it.
They took him off on a cart. They brought the cart in, and he sat on the back. He wasn't on a stretcher; it was just on a cart. But they wheeled him off on that 4-wheel cart or something.
Yeah. He was replaced by quarterback Mason Fine, who played just fine, completing 6 passes for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. Saskatchewan wide receiver Mario Alford returned 2 punts for touchdowns during the game. It's not 1, but 2 punts for touchdowns. Yep. Absolutely crazy. 1 for 67 yards and another for 92 yards. Another great set of highlights.
Yeah,
the CFL knocks those highlight packages out of the park.
This to me was the second best set of highlights. But like you said, that Ottawa Winnipeg game was also really good too. Yeah. So just a lot of great highlights up there. If you can't watch the games on CBS Sportsnet here in the States, go check out their highlight packages on CFL.ca.
So good. Or follow them on any of their social media platforms. They show a lot of great highlights. Like the one play from the Calgary Saskatchewan game where the quarterback just heaved it up. 3 defenders were right there, couldn't make it, and the ball still got caught and returned for a touchdown. It was awesome. What a great play.
Yeah, they popped the 3 defenders batted at the ball, popped it up in the air, and the receiver just grabbed it out of the air and ran away from everybody and finished the score.
Such a great highlight.
That was like with a minute left in the game. Yeah, it was awesome.
So great. And then on bye this week, the British Columbia Lions. So there you go. The standings in the CFL are as follows. In the East, the Toronto Argonauts sit at 4-0. The Montreal Alouettes and Hamilton Tiger Cats and Ottawa Red Blacks all sit there with 2-3 records. In the West, the British Columbia Lions are at the top with a 4-1 record, followed by the 4-2 Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the 3-2 Saskatchewan Roughriders, the 2-3 Calgary Stampeders, and the 0-6 Edmonton Elks. All right, then. We move on now to the Indoor Football League, where it was week 18, the end of their regular season. I'm just trying to make some notes real quick.
Yeah, all the playoff teams were set last week,
right?
But they still had 1 week to go. So I think some of them were real close. If we lose, then we got to go on the road. If we win, we might host a game. So that was all that was going to be determined this week.
Right.
Not who was playing, but where they were playing.
Yeah. All right. So Saturday we had 6 games. A couple header, as I like to call it. So the Frisco Fighters defeated the Iowa Barnstormers 51-35. The Sioux Falls Storm defeated the Massachusetts Pirates in a close game 62-59. The Tulsa Oilers upset the Quad City Steamwheelers 56-35 to get their second win of the season. Congratulations, Tulsa.
Yeah.
Too little, too late for your second win.
Yeah, Quad City was playoff bound.
Yeah, so what were they fighting for?
Yeah, they had nothing to play for, but still, good for them getting the second win.
Yeah, San Diego Strike Force defeated the Vegas Nighthawks 58-42. The Tucson Sugar Skulls defeated the Green Bay Blizzard 48-39. The Arizona Rattlers over the Northern Arizona Wranglers, the defending champs, 55-39. And the Bay Area Panthers took out the Duke City Gladiators on Sunday, 44-35. So, real quick, your IFL standings. The final standings for the season before we look at the playoff bracket. The Frisco Fighters will be the Eastern number 1 seed at 13-2, followed by the 2 seed Sioux Falls Storm at 9-6, the Massachusetts Pirates at the 3 seed at 9-6, and the Quad City Steamwheelers at the 4 seed at 9-6. And the eliminated teams, the Green Bay Blizzard at 7-8, Iowa Barnstormers at 3-12, and the Tulsa Oilers at 2-13. In the West, the Arizona Rattlers at 11-4 will be your number 1 seed in the West, followed by the 2nd seed Bay Area Panthers at 10-5. The 3rd seed will go to the Tucson Sugar Skulls at 9-6. And then the Northern Arizona Wranglers, the defending champions, squeak into the playoffs with a 7-8 record. And then your eliminated teams in the West, the San Diego Strike Force at 6-9, the Duke City Gladiators and Vegas Nighthawks at 5-10 each. So that sets up 2 days of fantastic playoff games. Starting Saturday in the East, you'll have the Quad City Steamwheelers at the Frisco Fighters. Then you'll have the Massachusetts Pirates at the Sioux Falls Storm. Those are both Saturday games, by the way. And then in the West on Saturday, the Northern Arizona Wranglers, the defending champions, will once again play the Arizona Rattlers this week in Arizona. And then Sunday, the Tucson Sugar Skulls will travel to the Bay Area to play the Panthers. So a lot of great stuff coming up there.
So their season is definitely winding down. We'll have a champion here in about 2 weeks.
Yes, we will. All right. And then we are going to move on to the National Arena League. It is week 15 with 2 weeks to go in their regular season. Saturday saw the Jacksonville Sharks defeat the Orlando Predators 56-24. And then the Carolina Cobras defeated the San Antonio Gunslingers 66-43. And then on bye this week, the West Texas Warbirds, who were probably looking to jump into a different league, but I guess we'll touch on that in a minute. All right, your National Arena League standings are as follows. The Jacksonville Sharks are at the top with a 9-2 record. The San Antonio Gunslingers at 8-3. The Carolina Cobras at 8-4. The Orlando Predators at 4-7. And the West Texas Warbirds at 2-10.
San Antonio has been in first place all season long. I think this is the first time that they have not been in first place
a while
in the standings. Yeah,
at least since like week 1, maybe.
Surprised. Hopefully they can maintain a winning streak and maybe get the number 1 seed back. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean we've been pulling for them for a couple years now from the National Arena League. Yeah. So all right, and we did have a championship game, but I'm going to throw it over to Randy for this one because There's some stuff here that he told me to avoid because he wanted to get my genuine reaction on the podcast. So tell me all about it.
Yes, well, we talked about this last week that the championship game for the American Indoor Football Alliance was going to be played last Saturday, and it was between the Columbus Lions and the Mississippi Raiders. Well, that game took place in Columbus, and as expected, the Columbus Lions defeated the Mississippi Raiders by the score of 55-10.
Oof, what a drubbing.
Yeah. On Facebook, this is what the Columbus Lions said, because they're trying to sell season tickets for next season already.
Right.
There will be a huge announcement coming to the Columbus Lions around September. Secure your season tickets for 2024 before those announcements, which may change ticket pricing. They go on to say 2023 was an amazing year, but 2024 is set to be earth-shattering. Now, here's what they mean by an amazing year. If you go to their website, the AIFA website, you'll find their standings from May 21st of this year. That's the last time they've updated their standings. At that time, the Columbus Lions were at 5-0.
Wow, that's great. It sounds like they were really handling their business. What a competitive league they were probably in.
Following behind them was the Mississippi Raiders.
The team they just played in the championship.
Right.
Fitting that the second team on the standings here. What's wrong with that?
Their record was 1-1 this season.
Hold on, say what now?
1-1.
That's 500. Are you telling me they only played 2 games?
Yeah, they only played 2 games, according to the standings on May 21st. Now, continuing down the standings, the Capital City Cyclones were 0-1 this season. They played 1 game in the AIFA. The South Florida Thunder had an 0-1 record. The Dallas Falcons had an 0-2 record. And then there were 2 other teams that had no records whatsoever of playing a game this year, the Las Vegas Kings and the Carolina Panthers.
Predators.
What did I say, Panthers?
Yeah.
Predators, yeah, Carolina Predators. So
I was like, I hope the Carolina Panthers didn't play in this
That was
league.
your fantastic season for the Columbus Lions. I don't know who they're fooling, but I feel bad for the Columbus Lions because they've been a very good team for many years. They've won championships, not like they did this year.
But they were in the National Arena League. They competed against the Albany Empire for championships.
Right.
Like legit good teams.
Have been a great franchise, and I'm sorry to see them associated with the AIFA this year. I'm sure they didn't want to be there, but hopefully bigger and better things for the Columbus Lions next year where they can get back on track.
What do you think the big announcement is? Do they jump ship to
I'm sure they're going to go to a different
National Arena League? Do they go to the Indoor Football League? Or
not sure.
I know we're not there yet, but do they jump to the Arena Football League?
I don't know. We will have to wait and see. But yeah, just them saying this was an amazing year. Yeah. You played 5 or 6 games, beat up on everybody who, only won 1 game, and you beat them before.
When your website can't even update like your standings, like, come on, guys.
So if you want to know why we didn't cover the AIFA all year long, this is the reason why. And that is it for this week's World of Football Scoreboard.
Okay.
All right, let's get into some NFL news. There's been a lot of news from the NFL this week. Last week, there was hardly anything. This week, a whole bunch of stuff. And the big thing was that the Jets are going to be forced to be on Hard Knocks. They finally forced somebody to do it. The show premieres on August 8th. The Jets, you added this note. They're forcing
tweaks. Oh. Yeah, God, can you not read your own script?
Well, not when you write it, no.
Whoa. Forcing tweaks. From what I read, I guess Schefter said something about the Jets don't want to show players getting cut. What?
That's what Hard Knocks is all about.
Who are the Jets to make these demands?
This is Hard Knocks. This isn't baby pats on the butt. This is what
people are checking out. They want to see that drama. We want to be invested in guys and then have our hearts ripped out when that guy doesn't make the team, even though we find the cuts, ahead of the episode airing. So it's just like, well, I already know that so-and-so gets cut, so what's the point? But I'll give it this. Maybe this is for the better. Maybe it'll make Hard Knocks slightly different enough of a watch that we don't feel like it's just the same thing every year. I mean, being Lions fans, obviously we thought last year was great. We actually thought that Hard Knocks was, better than it had been for a few years.
Right.
But I'll be curious to see what, the Jets will do with Aaron Rodgers and all that in there, and what access they don't get. If it'll be that apparent to us that we're not getting certain things, or certain looks from the Jets because of this whole we don't want to unveil all this stuff.
Yeah.
The attitude they've had being forced into doing this.
I guess if you're forced to do something, they probably said, well, if you're forcing us to do it, we want to make a few concessions or something like that. So that's probably what they came up with. It said, we don't want to show the guys being cut, even though we are going to be cutting some guys that may not be pretty to watch. But yeah, so that's it for our talk about Hard Knocks. But the other thing that we wanted to talk about was the Netflix series Quarterback, which dropped just a few days ago, and you have watched all 8 episodes, but I've only seen 5. But I'm what you're looking
Sorry,
at me like.
I was like, I'm in between doing different stuff for the podcast and looking up news and
I tried to carry this while you were staring at your phone.
Yeah, sorry, continue.
Netflix,
Yes.
Quarterback. You've watched 8 episodes. I've seen 5. I like it. I love the Patrick Mahomes stuff. In my mind, they could have just made this whole thing about Patrick Mahomes, and they could have left out Kirk Cousins and Marcus Mariota. At least after the first couple episodes, that's how I felt. In episode 5, they showed Marcus Mariota and his wife working together at home, going over the signals for this upcoming week, and she's reading them off from an iPad, and he's saying them back as she's reading them so that he gets the idea of how to call these plays and whatnot.
Mhm.
And I thought that was fascinating. I mean, how many wives will do something like that? I thought that was great that she was that involved in helping him do his job.
Yeah, it's weird because like who knows if that's actually how they do it or if they did it for the camera.
It was
Hard
great
to say.
TV or whatever
But
it
I
was.
thought they're I'm not saying they were faking it, but I'm just saying we don't know.
Right.
But if that's what they do, I think that's
Yeah.
great way. I'm sure maybe more players do that. Maybe it's not their wife, but maybe it's a brother-in-law or a personal
knows?
trainer, somebody else that they trust
Sure.
or family member they trust more.
Yeah.
I thought that angle was cool, but I'll let you give more thought because you only saw 5.
Yeah.
Like you said, I saw the whole thing, so I got some thoughts.
Well, like I said, I liked everything about Patrick Mahomes. His home life, what he does on the field, what he does to get ready for games. I loved all of that. And when it came to Kirk Cousins, I was less than enthusiastic. But in this last episode 5 that I watched, it did show a lot of the stuff that he has to go through to get where he'll record the calls, the play calling on his phone, and he'll listen to them as he's driving, and he'll recite them back,
Right.
to himself. So he's doing that his own way, and he had a bunch of other stuff, and just what these quarterbacks go through on a weekly basis to learn the plays for this week, and who's going to be in what position, knowing what everybody on the team is going to be doing at any given time is amazing. It really is. So I got a lot more respect for them, but again, since I'm not a Vikings fan because they're in the same division with the Lions, so I'm not a fan of the Vikings. So yeah, Kirk Cousins, even though he's from Michigan, I like
Got
the
a
Vikings
house
from
in
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, but yeah, I just didn't care, and I didn't care about Marcus Mariota. But that last episode made me kind of feel a little bit for both of those
Okay.
guys.
Interesting. So what I'll say is this: like, Patrick Mahomes is obviously that's the guy they wanted to focus on for everything.
Sure.
The way the show is structured, though, because like episode 1, we see the Chiefs go through 4, 5 games,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Falcons they only show 1 game, the first game. So they were trying to keep all these like every episode kind of themed around the same thing, while at the same time, trying to still linearly going through the season. So that's where I thought it was weird at times because you'd have the Falcons had 1 game, the Vikings had 2 or 3, and then the Chiefs had 5. And you're done at the first episode, and you're like, okay, what happened to the Falcons for those 3 weeks we're missing? So they jumped around quite a bit. That was a little, I won't say confusing, but it was more like just oddly structured. Then the focus, it did seem like they wanted to keep going back to Mahomes and Cousins. I think those were your 2 absolute, like, I was fascinated by Cousins. Like after episode 5, I think Cousins gets even like he just progressively gets more interesting. I'm just like, I don't mind them jumping back and forth between Mahomes and Cousins. It's actually interesting, these 2 dynamics these guys have.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that stinks is that for Mariota, while I think it was an interesting thing to pick him, and he had an interesting situation going into the season, and then he had the dramatic, you didn't get to the episode where he leaves the team and all that drama. But when that all happens, he essentially spoiler alert, leaves the show essentially. Like they really don't go back to him. You might get like 2 or 3 minutes in like one of the other episodes. But I swear I went through like episode 7 without a Mariota sighting at all. So it felt weird that they picked. I mean, you get why they picked the 3 guys, but then the way the show was structured just feels like, wow, yeah, you didn't really even need the Mariota story, maybe,
Right.
You could have gotten more out of why did he leave? What was the deal with him just vanishing from the team? And he gives a little bit of an explanation, but it still doesn't feel enough. Because if you remember during the season that he just abruptly left the team after he got benched for the rookie quarterback Desmond Ritter, and just left the team.
Yeah.
He apparently claims like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna go get my knee worked on now. Which then they asked the coach, and he's like, oh, we never discussed anything about his knee when we were having the conversations about him being benched. So I don't know, there just feels like a lot of stuff in there that's not resolved. But then you see him at the end getting signed by the Eagles. He's with the Eagles now. So you see him talking to his family about going to Philadelphia next year. So interesting, but like the Mahomes cousin stuff is where this show's bread and butter is.
Right.
You know, later on you get to see Mahomes' new house, which has been making the news lately about his football field in his backyard.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And he's got a golf course in his backyard. But it's cool because you're seeing the house still under construction before a lot of that stuff gets done. So it's really cool to see that. And the other thing I took away from it is, thank God they didn't let Jackson Mahomes get any screen time, or at least any line. Like, you see him, and the few moments he's on screen, while I don't like the guy, at least you never really hear him talk. But there's a couple things he does that still make me irked. I'm just like, I don't like this guy at all. But Brittany Mahomes, I'll give her this. Like, I'm not crazy about her on social media. There's times I'm just like, girl, you need to just stay off social media and stop defending Patrick or whatever. Like, just stay out of it. I liked her in this, which is weird for me because I thought she was annoying prior. But going into this, I think she's a good, supportive wife to Patrick. You know, they're clearly, they got a lot of competitive nature in them because she played soccer. So
right, yeah.
And she's a part owner of Kansas City soccer team,
a women's soccer team. Yep.
So I was into that, and I was like, you know what? They're more interesting than I gave them credit for. I just thought, oh, whatever, high school sweethearts or whatever. But there's a lot more to them, which I appreciated. I think that made my appreciation for Patrick Mahomes that much greater after this.
And, and they had a baby. Mahomes and his wife had a baby during this series, and so did Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, that was actually...
They had a baby, too, so
yeah.
I don't know. I guess Kirk Cousins needed to have another baby.
I think he was all set, but I don't know. Kirk Cousins was an interesting angle. He was the one I was a little surprised about. I thought maybe I would be more into the Mariota. Well, I did think maybe Mariota was a little extra, but while I was disappointed with that, Cousins did surprise me. I thought I'd hate the two and like Mahomes the most, but Kirk Cousins, I was actually into some of the stuff. Say what you will about the dude. You saw him get beat to a pulp, but his dedication to that team and a lot of the stuff he played through and all the remedies that he specifically had to go through. Like, you see the way he had to go through his recovery process, the way Patrick went through his, how the different, resources they had. Like, Mahomes is going to this special gym doing a bunch of weird workouts I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
You got Mahomes, you got Cousins having guys and ladies brought to the house to work on him and do specific things. Like, it was just fascinating.
All this behind the scenes stuff of what these quarterbacks have to go through, physical rehabilitation, mental preparation, all that that never gets talked about, and this was really forefront in this series. So yes, that I have a lot more respect for Kirk Cousins for everything that he does.
I'll still root against him on Sundays.
Yeah, I still don't like him on the field.
But the respect factor is there now. Like, and I never thought he was a bad guy. I think this also showed that he's a family man. He's about his community.
Right. Played at Michigan State, so that's kind of a connection we have.
Yeah, and he just seems like a nice dude.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I'd go have a beer with him. I don't even know if he would drink a beer. But like Patrick Mahomes, oh yeah, have a beer with that dude. Mariota, I might have a beer with that guy. Cousins, I like you, but I probably wouldn't have a beer with you. I thought it was interesting, and now. They did get renewed. We saw today they got renewed for a season 2.
You're telling me that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, so they renewed the show for season 2. No word on what quarterbacks they would follow. Do you have any dream picks? Would you do the same format, or how would you change the format?
Boy, I don't know.
Because I think this was a good testing ground. Like they said for Netflix, this was the highest rated, not rated, but like the most views or whatever you want to call it. However the Netflix metric works, they don't really release it. But supposedly for a Netflix sports documentary, this is like the most traction a Netflix original sports documentary series has gotten on Netflix.
Well, as long as they pick, 3 completely different quarterbacks, so you're going to get 3 more perspectives on what they do to get ready for a game, or where they've been, where they're going in their careers. Somebody that's been around for many years, is at the end of his career, another guy that's just coming up. I don't care who it is, but I just think it's a decent format.
Well, I'm sure they've already got their plans in place, but here's my
Sure.
dream scenario for what they should do with this
Oh
series.
yeah,
And let me know what you
enlighten me.
think. I'm curious. What would you think? So let's take it a step further. 4 quarterbacks. Why 4 quarterbacks, you're thinking? One division.
Oh,
Follow one division's
hmm.
set of quarterbacks.
There you go.
I think, that way you at least got stakes. One or two of those teams one's guaranteed to make the playoffs. You
Right.
know, it would just be different. You get the rise and fall of these quarterbacks. Like, is there quarterback battles going on? So, like, say for example, they pick the NFC North, which is what I would pick.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not the most interesting one right now. With you got Justin Fields, been the hot up and coming quarterback the last couple years. Is he going to be able to still carry that team? Then you got Kirk Cousins. Well, you'd have Kirk Cousins again.
Yeah, I
That's
was
the
just gonna
only
say,
downside. But
you're gonna have Kirk Cousins
then
again.
then this will just be my example. Then you got Kirk Cousins, who we had last year, so maybe you're getting a second season with him in it. Um, Jared Goff, a guy who's been much maligned but has found a new life in Detroit.
Yep.
And then Jordan Love replacing Aaron Rodgers, starting
Right.
quarterback. Maybe you do a Jordan Love and you start with Jordan Love in one spot, and then maybe you go elsewhere in the league because there's other quarterback situations. They could probably pick more than 3 or 4 guys. They could
Mhm.
probably, focus on a handful because I just think there's so much else going around the league that it was weird that we just focus on these 3 small portions of it.
Yeah.
It felt really narrow in scope, like to that degree, which is fine. And it made it more intimate, but I don't know what 3 you would pick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good choices out there. Like, I do think a Jordan Love would probably be my top pick right now, just to see how does he handle, the taking over for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
Well, maybe do the other 3 quarterbacks in the NFC North, since you've already got
Maybe.
Cousins. Do the other 3 in that division.
Maybe, but it would, like, to me, like doing a division kind of angle would be interesting because at least then you got dramatic stakes the whole season that you want to cover. Like, oh, the Bears are rising, the Bears are, the Lions are falling, the Vikings are treading water, and the Packers are who knows what they're up to. They're up and down, something like that. Like,
Yeah.
but maybe it'll be the same format where we're just gonna pick a great like Josh Allen. We'll pick up and coming Jordan Love, and then we'll pick I don't know, kind of a safe bet Jared Goff. I don't know, like a stable guy who's been there, kind of thing.
Mm.
So who knows?
Yeah.
They could go drastically different with it. Maybe they'll change the style. Maybe they'll go somewhere we don't
3
expect.
rookie quarterbacks.
Maybe. Or 3 guys about to retire. Who
Yeah.
knows? Or they're focusing on Tom Brady, and spoiler alert, he comes out of
Oh
retirement
God,
again.
please no. All right, let's move on to some other news. Free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins signs a 2-year deal with the Tennessee Titans. Now we've been wondering where he's going to be going for quite a while,
Yeah.
because he didn't get picked up by anybody, and he was with Arizona
Yeah.
last year, and
For the last 3 seasons, he was with the Houston Texans before that. The
right.
2 teams apparently he was going back and forth between were the Titans and the Patriots.
Yeah, and nobody picked him up for the longest time.
You got this? Okay. Nobody picked him up for a while. I think he made a bad decision. I'm going to say it right here, right now. I think that the Tennessee Titans are a bad fit. This is where the wide receivers go to die in Tennessee, because they got Derrick Henry. They're pretty much a run first team. Who's their quarterback? Is it going to be Tannehill? Is it going to be the quarterback they just drafted, Will Levis? Is it going to be the quarterback they drafted last year, the rookie quarterback? Now he's got a year under his belt, but a guy who played 1 game and everybody was like, "Oh, he's awful." So who knows who their quarterback is? That quarterback situation is not ideal, but he goes there 2 years, 26 mil, I want to say, is what he's going to get. I just think it's a bad fit. If he's trying to win a championship to close out his career, as great as he is, he picked the wrong city. I'm sorry.
They probably need more help, so they were willing to spend more money on him. So
Maybe, and I'll eat crow if they shell out. I mean, or if they they usually got a good defense and they've been in it the last few years. But Super Bowl team, I still don't think they are, even with a DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay, let's see. Moving on to a different story. 60 seniors and coaches wait a minute, 60 senior coaches and contributors have been named as semifinalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2024. There were 31 seniors, which included quarterback Ken Anderson from the Cincinnati Bengals, Billy White Shoes Johnson, Jim Marshall, Clay Matthews Jr., Sterling Sharp, Steve Tasker. Just a ton of great players over the years. And then in the coaches and contributors category, there were 29. You got Roone Arledge, Tom Coughlin, Ralph Hay, the guy that held the first meeting to form the NFL, Mike Holmgren, Robert Kraft, Elmer Layden, one of the four horsemen of Notre Dame, who was actually a commissioner of the NFL at one time. Art Modell, Buddy Parker, coach of the Lions, Marty Schottenheimer, Clark Shaughnessy, the father of the modern T formation. A lot of great contributors there too. So you can see the whole list if you go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame website. Now, each of these two lists is going to be reduced down to 12 semifinalists, with the results of those votes being announced on July 27th. The coach and contributor category will choose one finalist on August 15th. The senior committee will meet a week later and choose 3 nominees. Those candidates will be presented at the hall's entire board of 50 selectors in January of 2024 for admission to the class of 2024. So it's going to be a long road for any of these guys to actually make it in, but good luck to all of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they'll get a number of them this year. So who knows? Let's see. Philip Rivers and his wife are expecting their 10th child. I know he hasn't played in the NFL since 2020, but it's still news when Philip Rivers announces he's having another child.
Yeah, there's a great video somebody posted from like Madden a few years back. The way they would introduce the starting lineups for teams would be they'd show like the quarterback and then the 5 offensive linemen and then the 5 skill players. And somebody went and created all his kids as his teammates. So it's like the whole starting lineup for the Chargers is all Philip Rivers kids.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny.
Hey,
It's
him and his kids makes 11 now. So yeah,
he can have his own football team. The Los Angeles Phillips. That would be something else.
Let's see. The New York Giants are adding a team logo on the field instead of using the NFL logo like they've used for so many years, which is interesting because they share that with the Jets. So are the Jets going to come out and say they're going to be putting their logo on for their games?
We can't.
This thing
they won't let us find out because that's none of our business, and I'm sure they'll.
Oh yeah.
Find a way to not tell us.
Oh, they'll announce that during Hard Knocks.
Oh, maybe they will.
Yeah.
But I saw that picture and I thought it was fake at first. I was like, they've never put a logo in the middle of the field. Why would the Giants just all of a sudden do it? But the fact that they are, I'm actually kind of excited. I know it's just because they shared a stadium that I was like, okay, they share a stadium, so they have to put the NFL there. It just makes it easier for transition.
They don't have to paint it every week.
But then you go to SoFi, and guess what? They change everything for the Chargers and for the Rams. Shoot, the Rams, I swear, had like 3 or 4 different logos in the center of their field all season, on top of the Chargers logos that they would throw in the middle of the field. So it can be done. It's just a matter of maybe the Giants were just stingy about their field design, but
who knows?
I'm so happy that they're finally doing that.
Yeah, it looked really good.
I think it looks cool that New York NY in the middle of the field.
Yep.
I do hope the Jets do something.
Sure.
I don't like the Jets logo. At least it's your home field. I think while it's a weird thing, I love the field designs. I love when you can put a cool logo in the middle of the field. Like when they've done special logos, like when the Bengals did the whiteout, they make the field black and white instead of purple, orange and black. So I think that's neat. It adds to the fan experience. It looks great on television. It'll look great on NFL films. So it's fine. And how much does it really cost? Not much, I'm sure.
But yeah, there was a video that I saw some time ago. It's probably out on YouTube where they were going around the stadium there. How do they change things from Jets to Giants? They've got a lot of things like in the gift shop.
They just pull a lever, right? And
they turn the whole thing around, and on the other side is all the Jet stuff. And then now we're going into a Giants game. They just pull that whole rack and they turn it right around, and so there's a lot of stuff built in for the two teams. And this was just one thing that had never been done before, was the logo on the.
So while it's a weird little thing, I'm down with it. I think that's really neat.
So if they play each other, whose logo is going to be in the middle?
Depends on who's designated as the home team.
Ooh, there you go.
I mean, that's how they always would do it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. The Cleveland Browns have unveiled a white alternate helmet And you said you weren't crazy about this at first, but
I think
now you like
my initial tweet was like the 3 grimace face emojis and just saying ugh. Like I didn't like it at first because yesterday they released a little teaser video of they have some partnership with Dude Wipes, the masculine
Oh,
male
yeah.
butt wipe.
All right, yeah.
Um,
I saw that video.
yeah. So if you're gonna poop scroll, use man wipes, or whatever I just said they were called, Dude Wipes.
Dude, what?
But so they showed that it's a really funny commercial. This guy with his Dude Wipes cleaning everything in the Browns, locker room or whatever, and he goes to start cleaning some helmets, and he pulls the wipe back, and it's covered in orange, and he's like, "Oh no!" And then it cuts,
Yeah, he's rubbed
and
the color right off.
and they say coming tomorrow. So I thought maybe it would be a brown helmet. I thought maybe they would go with that, but they're going with the white helmet shell with the white stripe. So my initial thought was, you just look like Penn State with a brown stripe down the middle.
True.
And I've come around in a few hours since somebody posted. I guess I didn't realize it, but it's harking back to the original Browns uniform. They had white helmets back in the day, which I guess is fine. I still don't love the look though. I appreciate what they're trying to do and hark back to that original 1946 Browns team or whatever, but I'm just not crazy about it. I guess maybe when I see it, because I guess they're wearing them really early in the season, like week 2.
They got like 3 games, I think, that they're
but I think their first game is like a Monday night game against the Steelers, so that'll be interesting. The black versus white, that'll be interesting. But come on, you can't even do it better than the other team in your same state. I think the Bengals white look way better than that.
You want to really do something radical, Cleveland? Put a logo on your helmet for a change.
That's what I thought maybe they do too. Like maybe either the Brownie logo or that CB that we've seen on the internet for several years. So.
Anything but that solid orange helmet.
I mean, otherwise it's fine. I like the classic idea, but I just don't like the look.
And then the Minnesota Vikings also announced today that they're going to be wearing some throwback uniform, purple.
Yeah, have you
they
seen
had
these?
I kind of glanced at it. I didn't look real close, but
oh man, these are what their uniform should be like
the Fran Tarkenton era.
Essentially, yeah. They brought back, instead of the black face mask, because you've been seeing the highlights during the quarterback show, their helmets are that matte purple with a black face mask. I hate the black face mask, but they add the gray face mask, and I'm like, now that's a look. I like that. And then they got the classic looking uniform with the standard stripes instead of that weird Viking ship looking stripe on the side. It looks a lot cleaner. It looks a lot simpler. This is what I wish a lot of NFL uniforms would go for. The simpler, few stripes, bold. The numbers aren't stylized like they've been. They're just like the flat, blocky numbers that you would iron on at your mom's kitchen back in the 40s. They look great. I think this is the look. I was like, I wish these are just their permanent uniforms, to be honest with you. I think these are great looking uniforms. So I'm glad they're going to dole those out this year.
And now we move on to the biggest news of the week, at least in our humble opinion. More news out of the Arena Football League. They today announced the locations of the 16 teams for 2024. Let me start out with who they didn't list, though.
That's the fascinating aspect of all this.
I'm a little disappointed. We kind of figured no Albany team because of what happened up there. No Jacksonville. No Cleveland Gladiators. I thought they were a shoo-in.
Right.
Cleveland Gladiators. No Columbus Destroyers or Columbus Wild Dogs, whatever they were going to be. Of course, no Grand Rapids Rampage or Detroit Drive or Detroit Fury from our state. No Arizona Rattlers.
That, to me, has got to be the biggest one.
Yeah, because wasn't their headquarters going to be in Arizona?
In Phoenix.
And
that's everything I'd heard.
And they talked about a snake in the desert or something like that.
The commissioner came out on. It's on Tim Capper's podcast, AFL Rewind, that he hinted at the Rattlers. Then he hinted at the Salt Lake City team, which used to be the Blaze. So clearly, in the 5 months it's been, or ish, 4 or 5 months it's been since those interviews. I mean, a lot's changed, and we have expected it. Even the commissioner said, that's why they didn't go out and announce anything right then and there. And
nothing was set in stone.
And I get it that the league, Indoor Football League is literally just starting their playoffs this week, this upcoming weekend. So maybe they couldn't make some announcements, but then there's some head-scratching developments. But I guess one of the teams from the National Arena League, National Arena League is supposedly rumored to join the league. So it's a couple of teams from that league. So it's crazy stuff.
Yep. So all we can do is we can talk about what was said today.
Right. And apparently, so I want to throw out real quick a tweet by somebody, I don't know how closely officiated, affiliated with the AFL. They are, but Travell Gaines, who is the what does he do? He's the founder of Athletic Gains, and I'm not sure if they have a partnership with the Arena Football League or not, but the Arena Football League follows them. So they said, sorry, Arena football fans, we tried our best to have Albany and Jacksonville, but it didn't work out. Not by our efforts. Excited for the locations that we will have for the AFL football in 2024. So take that for what you will. We figured and hoped that the Albany situation would really deter the Arena Football League from pursuing them. So clearly, I think that was a development that happened.
But, there's always 2025.
Maybe.
This is the original 16, this first year, 2024. Who knows who they might add.
But we're not looking that far ahead. Right now, let's just get the new season underway. And starting with these 16 cities is exciting stuff.
Right. Now, TMZ posted a little bit more details than what the Arena Football League was putting out. They just put out either 16 states or 16 cities.
Why don't you start with what the Arena League posted first, like the 16 cities or locations that they put out. Then you can go into what TMZ.
Right. Okay. The AFL said Austin, which I'm assuming Austin, Texas, Boise, California, Chicago, Colorado, Minnesota, Louisiana, Ohio, Orlando, Oregon, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Tallahassee, Tennessee, Washington, and West Texas. Now, TMZ went a little bit farther, so as you go down the list, I started throwing in some team names from teams that were there in these cities before.
Yeah, but that's not confirmed one way or the other.
No. This is my speculation on my part.
Well, not even speculation, is it? You really think that those are the teams coming back?
So when you talk at Austin, Texas, they did have the Austin Wranglers at one time. So there's a connection there. Boise, Idaho, they had the Boise Burn of the Arena Football 2. California, TMZ said Bakersfield, California, and there was a Bakersfield Blitz in the AF2. When you talk Chicago, you got to be talking the Chicago Rush or maybe the Chicago Bruisers. TMZ said Denver, Colorado, as opposed to just Colorado. So if it's Denver, we could get the Colorado Crush back. Let's see.
Or the Denver Dynamite.
There you go, yeah. Let's see. St. Paul, Minnesota, the Fighting Pike is still in play.
Yeah, that was a commissioner's team that he talked about quite a bit. So.
Yeah, he knew there was going to be a team up there in Minnesota, and so we're pulling for the Fighting Pike. Not saying that's what it's going to be. Lake Charles, Louisiana. Now, Lake Charles is not too close to New Orleans, and they kind of flat out said New Orleans Voodoo was going to be one of the teams.
Yeah, that was like the first team that was pretty much confirmed, but clearly something else happened.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about New Orleans even being one of those cities that they host the Arena Bowl in or whatever. Yeah. But who knows? I mean, we looked up Lake Charles. It is not close. If it's the Lake Charles we were looking at, it was on the other side of the state.
On the other side of the state, west of New Orleans.
Might as well have been in Texas.
Yeah, really. Let's see. Cincinnati, Ohio is what they're saying for the Arena team there. Now, they had the Cincinnati Rockers at one time.
The Cincinnati Swarm of the AF2.
That's right. I forgot about that one, yes. Let's see. Orlando Predators. Orlando, you assume it's Orlando Predators. And there's been a few things.
And you saw something about
up from the Orlando Business Journal saying that they were going to be going to the AFL next year, the Predators. So,
take that with a grain of salt till it's official.
Salem, Oregon. Not Portland, Oregon, where you had the Portland Thunder, the Portland Forest Dragons, and the Portland Steel. Now, Salem is about 20 miles south of Portland, so I don't think you could use the same Portland, moniker there. Philadelphia, you got to assume that's going to be the Soul. St. Louis, they at one time had the St. Louis Stampede, so maybe they'll go back to that name. Tallahassee, Florida, you could have the Florida Bobcats, because as long as it says Florida, it could be anywhere in the state.
Or the several other, they had the Florida, the Firecats in the AF2?
Yes, Firecats in the AF2.
Yeah, so
they've had a couple teams down there, different places.
I mean, it's interesting that, some of these locations, most of these, have had some sort of roots in AF2, AFL lore. Right. Whether or not they use those same, nicknames is going to be interesting.
Yep. Let's see, what else do we have? Nashville, Tennessee. Are the Nashville Cats coming back? Who knows?
What a crime. If the Nashville Cats come back to the Arena Football League without the Grand Rapids Rampage, what a travesty. You know what the Grand Rapids did that Nashville didn't do? I'll tell you what they did. They won an Arena Bowl.
That's
What did
right.
the Cats do? They lost
That's
2
right.
Arena Bowls.
Yep.
Back to back, I might add. I
Yep.
just want to throw that out there.
Yep. Uh-oh, here he
We
goes.
even got the poster. We got a signed Arena Football League 2021 champion poster right there, hanging on our wall.
That's
What do the Nashville Cats got?
That's
Nothing.
That's Clinton Dolezal's autograph right there in the middle, number
right
13.
there in the middle. The great Clint Dolezal. Bring back a team to Grand Rapids 2025. Let's go.
And the last two, one of them is Everett, Washington, and there was an AF2 team called the Everett Hawks at one time, and then finally, it just says West Texas by the Arena Football League, but they're saying that TMZ is saying that it's going to be Odessa. Now, they had the Odessa Roughnecks of a league called the Lone Star Football League several years ago, but that's currently where the West Texas Warbirds of the National Arena League are currently based in Odessa, Texas.
And I saw things, supposedly maybe it's the Warbirds coming over from the NAL also. So who knows? I mean, they're the worst team in the National Arena League right now. So, oof. Good luck in the Arena League.
Yeah, so those are the 16 cities that the AFL is announcing. Well, cities and states. So we'll just have to see how things flesh out in the next few months.
Yeah.
You know, when the Indoor Football League and the National Arena League finish their seasons and those teams are done,
I'm sure we'll start getting
you'll actually hear
announcements.
this team or that team, and this is going to be the name. Some of these they might actually hold a name the team contest, maybe for a whole new team.
I have a feeling that
Who knows?
as easy as we would think it would be for them to keep some of the old names, I bet you. I mean, for probably certain legal reasons, there's probably some that they can't get back. So I half expect some of these familiar locations with different names, which is fine. It bums me out a little bit because I would really love to see some classic arena, like more than classic arena teams come in. But even the commissioner said in those interviews that it's going to be a mix. But stuff changes. We've already seen several cities we thought we were getting that we're not getting anymore.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see that. And they also unveiled a new website today, AFL2024.com. It's got a countdown clock on it. And I believe if you're one of the first 500 people to sign up, you might get qualified for exclusive merch for 2024 Arena Football paraphernalia.
I need to do that.
I already did it.
Okay, so you beat me to it.
Good luck. I don't know if I was in the 500 or not. I just have to check my email. But I want to make of note real quick, underneath the countdown to kickoff clock, which is currently at 284 days, at least at the time of this recording. If you scroll down, it says 16 teams are about to be revealed, and this is where I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat. If you look at some of those logos there, you might be familiar with some of them. Some of them are very distinct in the outlines. Like I could see a oval, which I would only assume is the Chicago Rush. Right. I see a Georgia Force. I see a Cleveland Gladiators, a New York Dragons, a LA Avengers, Colorado Crush, Dallas Desperados, New Orleans Voodoo, which ain't happening anymore. The Utah Blaze, the Storm, Tampa Bay Storm.
Philadelphia Soul was very obvious.
Philadelphia Soul is obvious. I believe that one might be the Empire logo. The Kansas City Brigade, the Columbus or Cleveland or Buffalo Destroyers logo. And there's a couple I just couldn't quite place. One of them might be the Nashville Cats logo now that I look at it. And then the other one, I'm still not sure what it could be. Maybe the Stockton Lightning or something, or the Pittsburgh Power.
Spokane Shock?
No, I don't.
No?
They don't look like that. It's, the way it's shaped and angled, hard to say. But I'm not saying that these are the teams that
but they are using those logos with a question mark.
But
here's our 16.
Could we get a California Avengers playing in Bakersfield? Could we get a Cincinnati Gladiators instead of the Cleveland Gladiators? Could we be getting the West Texas Dragons? Or the Tallahassee Force or the Florida Force. Maybe they'll change. Who knows? They could use some of those old logos and just change the city names.
Repurpose them. Yep.
Who knows? Maybe the West Texas Warbirds would be the Brigade. I mean, that would make sense. You're not using Warbirds, but you're going to keep the playing theme. That's just my tinfoil hat theory, everybody. What do you guys think? And if you can dissect, I was going to say dissect and decipher at the same time. But if you can decipher a couple of those logos, I'd be curious what other people think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure more people would sit down and be like, that shape is this shape.
Right.
But it's very interesting. I'm very excited, though. It's starting to become tangible. It's starting to be feeling a little more real. Now that we have actual city locations or,
Right.
we just need team names. We need jerseys. They're getting all the sponsors and stuff lined up. So everything's slowly rolling. So I'm back on the commissioner's side after the whole Albany Empire scare there. I was really nervous that Albany was going to get brought in.
I'm
but
pretty sure that threw a monkey wrench
I'm
into
sure it did.
everybody's plans.
It's we thought we would hear this announcement a while ago, but I wonder if that did throw the monkey wrench in there. That's just our tinfoil hat theory.
That's our guess.
But and then back in February when we originally got that announcement that the league was coming back, we did our own predictions. Picking the 16 cities.
Yep.
And as of right now, you got 2 of those cities right. You definitely called Chicago and Orlando, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I got 3. I called Nashville, Orlando, and Chicago. So,
all right, so you beat me by 1.
By 1, but who knows what else will change between now and then? Maybe these cities could change.
Yeah.
We'll have to stick around and find out.
Yeah. Yeah, we shall see.
So, anything else, or are we moving on to the next topic?
Let's move on. In college news, I have a correction from last week. I incorrectly said the name of the Northwestern University football coach that was fired was Pat Fitzpatrick. It was Pat Fitzgerald. I don't know why I must have been.
Did you check our social stuff? Because I just wrote down what you wrote down. So if you screwed up on your script, that means...
I think that's what we both said.
Well, I mean...
Because that's what I wrote down.
Well, now you have to go back through and check all of our stuff because if I put it on any of the graphics, I need to go change it.
Oh. I don't think you did put on the graphics.
I might have, but continue.
Okay. Today's birthdays, July 18th. Wide receiver Deion Branch turns 44 today. He played his college football at Louisville and was selected in the second round of the 2002 NFL Draft by the New England Patriots. He played in 11 NFL seasons. He was with the Patriots from 2002 to 2005. He was with the Seattle Seahawks from 2006 to 2010, and he was traded back to the Patriots during the 2010 season and finished his career in New England in 2012. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots and was the MVP of Super Bowl 39. And we do have a couple of obituaries this week. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first obituary is that of Cornelius Roberts, who played fullback in the NFL and in the Canadian Football League. He's passed away at the age of 87. Roberts played college football at USC and was selected in the 14th round of the 1958 NFL Draft by the New York Giants. However, he chose to sign with the CFL's Toronto Argonauts and played in Toronto from 1957 to 1958. He then signed with the NFL's San Francisco 49ers, where he played from 1959 to 1962, and he finished his playing career back in Canada with the Hamilton Tiger Cats in 1963.
Our next obituary is that of Joe Campbell, a defensive end in the NFL for 5 seasons, has passed away at the age of 68. Campbell played college football at Maryland and was the 7th overall pick in the 1977 NFL Draft by the New Orleans Saints. He played for the Saints from 1977 to 1980 and was traded during the 1980 season to the Oakland Raiders. He played in Oakland from 1980 to 1981, winning Super Bowl 15 with the team. He was then traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers during the 1981 season and finished his short playing career there.
Our final obituary this week is that of Marty Huff, a linebacker in the NFL as well as the Canadian Football League and the World Football League, dies at the age of 74. Huff played college football at Michigan and was selected in the 5th round of the 1971 NFL Draft by the San Francisco 49ers. He played for the 49ers in 1972, the CFL's Edmonton Eskimos in 1973 and 1974. He also played for the New York Stars of the WFL in 1974 and the Charlotte Hornets of the WFL in 1975. All right, this week's history lesson, which you'll find exclusively on YouTube, is about 10 Pro Football Hall of Famers who you may not know all finished their iconic careers in a different city. There's a lot more than 10, but I just picked out 10 of them, and that's what the video is about.
Yeah, there's a lot more 10 out there, but you only picked 10.
Yes.
There's a couple that I think should have been on the list that didn't make it, apparently.
Well, you mentioned Peyton Manning, but everybody knows that he finished his career in another city.
Spoiler alert, Peyton Manning's not in the video?
No.
Nobody's seen it yet.
Sorry. But, yeah, but go check that out. That'll be up in the next couple days, usually on Wednesday, so look for it probably Wednesday evening. All right, upcoming events calendar. Thursday, August 3rd, the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. The Cleveland Browns versus the New York Jets. Saturday, August 2nd, the Indoor Football League National Championship
5th.
game. What did I say?
You said the 2nd.
Oh, August 5th. Indoor Football League Championship game. CBS Sports is going to televise that. Tuesday, August 8th, Hard Knocks premieres with the New York Jets. August 15th, our 6th anniversary show is coming up.
That's less than a month away. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. August 26th, the FBS College Football Week 0. Navy versus Notre Dame in Dublin, Ireland is the showcase game, but there are also 6 other games that day. And then finally, Thursday, September 7th, the NFL regular season begins with our beloved Detroit Lions traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So excited.
Anything else before we end this rather long show today?
I mean, not longer than most shows, but longer than it's been in a while. I think we obviously had a lot to talk about with the our main topics, I think, this week.
Arena Football League, a lot of uniform drops today, a lot of things that have dropped today.
And talk about that Netflix series. I really wanted to get into that, so yeah.
It's pretty good. I'll have to finish the last 3 episodes.
You should. I think it's great. I won't say it's a great show. I could see where they could improve upon and actually make it a staple, like a Hard Knocks everything. That'll be appointment viewing for fans to tune in every year.
Okay.
So,
well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like The World of Football over at Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow us on Twitter. The address is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us in your ear holes on whatever Alexa devices you have in your home, if you so choose. You can also find the full audio version of this show on YouTube. That's right, just search the YouTube search bar for The World of Football Kalamazoo, and you should find us. If that doesn't work, then use our handle, youtube.com/@theworldoffootball to get connected with us. Leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz. Hit the little bell notification to be notified whenever we drop new videos. Any interactions with us is greatly appreciated, and with the arena football stuff coming out, you should be on the lookout for our video. We're going to take the segment out from this podcast and make that a video this week. So you'll have that and a history lesson coming up. Let us know what you think about any of these topics, about any of our videos, and come be a part of the football conversation. We would enjoy it immensely.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us sitting right here talking to you right now.
Nope.
Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job, as always, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm still in love with the movie The Dark Knight, which was released 15 years ago on this date.
There's a callback for you.
Yeah, baby. It's so good. What's your favorite scene from the movie?
I don't recall.
What do you mean you don't recall? It's the greatest film of all time.
No, the 1966 Batman movie was the greatest movie of all time.
Whoa, I mean, it's fun. It's not better than The Dark Knight.
We'll see you all next week.